When we think about modern India, we often picture this incredible story of explosive growth. But there's another story running right alongside it. It's about a new kind of empire, one built on capital, that has created a new class of super rich. Some are even calling it a billionaire Raj. So the big question is, as these fortunes skyrocket, is the rest of India being lifted up, or is it creating a country more divided than ever before? Take a look at this. This is Antilia. It's a private 27-story skyscraper in Mumbai, and it's home to just one family, that of billionaire Mukesh Ambani. It's estimated to have cost $1 billion to build. It's this incredible symbol of India's new wealth. But right below it, in its shadow, are some of the city's biggest slums, where millions of people live. It's really the perfect picture of this deep and widening gap. And that gap, well, this number right here puts it into perspective. According to a report by Oxfam, the top 1% of India's population now holds over 40% of the entire country's wealth. 40%. It's a staggering figure, and it really makes you wonder, how on earth did we get here? To really get what's happening, we need to dig into this term coined by author James Crabtree, the billionaire Raj. And that name is no accident. It's meant to echo the old British Raj. But this time, the empire isn't colonial, it's economic. And its rulers are a new class of homegrown Indian tycoons. So what exactly is the billionaire Raj? Well, it's this situation where a tiny group of ultra-wealthy people have a massive amount of power. And we're not just talking about economic power, we're talking about huge political influence too. This system has basically created a new aristocracy, one that's living in a completely different reality from the rest of the nation. Now, before all this, India had something called the license Raj. It was this super state-controlled economy bogged down by endless red tape that just choked private businesses. Moving away from that was supposed to unleash growth for everyone. But here's the crazy part. According to the World's Inequality Lab, India is now more unequal than it was under British colonial rule. So how did that happen? How did the country go from one extreme to the other? Well, the whole story really hinges on one single massive event back in 1991, a moment that totally shattered the old way of doing things and paved the way for the incredible fortunes we see today. Okay, let's just walk through how this all unfolded. After independence, you had the restrictive license Raj holding the economy back. Then, bam, 1991. Economic liberalization happens, the doors fly open to foreign investment, and everything changes. By the 2000s, you see the first modern billionaires popping up in tech, pharma, and telecom. But it's in the last decade or so that we've seen what's been called the oligarch boom, a total explosion in the number and the power of these tycoons. And if you want to see just how explosive that boom was, check out this chart. In 2002, there were only 5 Indians on the Forbes billionaires list. 5. By 2018, that number had leaped to 119. That's a fundamental reshaping of where wealth is concentrated in the country. And it didn't just happen by accident. So you're probably asking, how did so few people get so incredibly wealthy so fast? Well, the answer isn't always about creating the next great invention. A lot of the time, it's about having a completely different kind of advantage. Yeah, many critics argue that unlike, say, Silicon Valley, a lot of these huge fortunes in India weren't built on some disruptive new technology. They were built on something much older, close ties to the government. This is the very heart of what people call crony capitalism. Raghuram Rajan, the former head of India's central bank, he described it as a triangle of dependence that keeps the whole system going. The politician needs the businessman's money, the businessman needs the politician's favors, and the politician then uses those resources to go out and get votes. It's a cycle that just feeds itself, over and over. So what does this playbook actually look like? Well, it often comes down to a few key moves. Cozying up to politicians to win government contracts, getting special treatment that helps create a monopoly, and using aggressive tactics to crush any competition. As one author put it, the most important skill became managing the government, not just managing your business. And the fallout from all this wealth and power being in so few hands? It's huge. It has effectively created 2 different Indias, living side by side, but separated by a massive economic canyon. This chart just lays it all out. The top 1% has over 40% of the wealth. Now look at the bottom 50% of the population. We're talking about more than 700 million people. They own just 3%. Think about that for a second. The disparity is just immense. And this isn't just about numbers on a chart. This is what people live every single day. One India is a world of private jets, Lamborghinis, and mansions and gated communities. The other India is a world where millions are fighting for the basics, things like decent healthcare, clean water, and a good school for their kids. And get this fact from Oxfam is it's brutal. Because public healthcare is so underfunded, millions have to go to private hospitals. The cost of that care pushes 63 million people into poverty every single year. That's almost 2 people every single second. And this is the paradox at the heart of the two Indias, isn't it? On one hand, the country is this global hotspot for high-tech medical tourism. People fly in from all over the world for surgery. At the same time, some of its poorest states have infant mortality rates that are actually higher than in sub-Saharan Africa. The contrast is just devastating. So, all of this brings India to this huge, critical moment. You've got the world's largest democracy standing at a crossroads, and honestly, the path it takes right now is going to define its future for decades. And look, this isn't just a question of what's fair. This is a major economic risk. Economists have warned for years that countries with extreme inequality like this have a much harder time developing. They can get stuck in what's called the middle income trap, where they just can't make that final leap to widespread prosperity. So the real challenge here is finding a balance, right? How can India keep encouraging people to innovate and create wealth, but also make sure that the benefits are shared by everybody? It means building a system that brings everyone along, that protects democracy from the influence of big money, and remembers that a great economy isn't just about how rich your richest people are, it's about how you lift up your poorest. Which brings us to the one fundamental question that's hanging over India's future. As the country keeps rising, will it become a nation that truly fulfills the dreams of a billion people, or will it be one that's ruled by the interests of a tiny billionaire class? The answer to that is still being written.